spot. I'm talking in my normal voice, and I just wanted to show you my generator again. Folks, I know you may get tired of my generator videos, but I do this just because if there's anyone that's looking to have a generator for backup for whenever the power goes out, just some things that I've researched and tested, and I'm pretty satisfied with the setup I got now. So here's my big one. Sorry if it gets too loud, folks, but my big one, see if I can move that out of the way. It's a Predator 8,750 watt generator. It's enough to power my whole house, and I can cut on anything I want to cut on. I can run all my 220s. I'm going to back up a little. So I can run all my 220 volts or 240 volts. And this little generator right here is just a 110. So what I did is I went on the internet and saw a couple of videos, and I had to reach out, and one of them is Doc, D-O-C, I forget his full channel name, so Doc, I'll have to go back and give you credit for that, but it was because of your video, and there was another one where he makes a lot of generator videos, and he's called The Outdoor Prepper, and I watched his videos. Now, I like both of them. I think I got more information out of watching both of them than I could of just watching one. But one of the things I liked about Doc is not sponsored by anyone whatsoever. I am not sponsored by anyone whatsoever. Everything I've got is where I purchased. So nothing was donated to me except for the cabling that was donated to me by a friend that I went to school with. He's an electrician, and so he donated, can't remember if it was 8 gauge or 10 gauge wire to run to my outlet box to be able to service 240 watt or 240 volt generator. So that's the only thing that was ever donated to me, and that was just because he was a friend of mine, and I was trying to do this project, and by the time you buy the generator and the equipment tying into your fuse panel, it adds up, folks. It's not just the price of generator, but I didn't want to do it with just running extension cords inside the house because you're not getting the maximum power out of your generator. So I'm going to pause this a minute. Let me show you. I'll walk around, show you that it's using 100% of the power on propane. So right now it's running about 3,200 watts. And it says it can continuously run 3,500, but that's on the gasoline for the 3,800 watt surge and the 3,500 watt continuous running. But when you add run it on propane, then it decreases to where I think it's about, I'd have to look in the book again, but it's about 3,500 watts surge, and then you have maybe 3,300 watts continuous running on propane. All right, let me get you to the front. I forgot to mention, I wanted to show you the other thing. I don't know if you see my fence line right there. That's where my property ends and my neighbor's begins on one side. And there's my other neighbor. Mine ends at the fence and theirs begins after the fence. I did a decibel reading, and it reads right around 65 decibels, which is in the talking range of decibels. I'll walk away just to make it a little quieter. But here in Rockdale County, you're not supposed to have anything after 10 p.m. until 7 a.m. in the morning. You're not supposed to have anything running that's over 70 decibels. So I went down with my decibel meter, checked it along the fence line on both sides. So I am at 65. So I am definitely under the 70 decibel requirement. And I don't have a problem with my neighbors. But the only reason I mention this is if you have trouble with your neighbors, you want to check your local noise ordinance and see what the decibel reading is allowed at different times and at night and on the weekends. And mine falls perfectly in the range to where if a neighbor got upset with me, there's not anything they could do. Even if they called code enforcement or a police officer out, I am within the noise level of the ordinance. But I'm going to pause it. I'm going to take you inside just to tell you a few more things. Okay, I'm back inside now. Trying to show you the fuse panel again, just to show you. So this one's a little different now. Because it's a 110 and the cable that I have outside that goes from the generator to the outlet box, I actually learned that trick from Doc's generator video, because that cord, since my generator is a 110 generator, it takes that 110 on that one leg, and on the other end of the plug it is wired to where it powers two legs. And so this is what happens. So even though my generator is just a 120 and my outlet box is a 240 hookup, so it tricks it and thinks that it has a 240 watt system plugged in, but what it is truly just 110, 120. I keep saying 110, folks, because that's your outlets, but your 120. So all my breakers right here, my small breakers right here, every one of those are 120. So I have to turn off, before I start this system, I have to turn off every 240 switch there is. So this one right here is for my dryer. That's for my range stovetop. This one goes to a window unit that runs on 240. I use it for the backup, just make sure I have air conditioning if the power goes out, or if the main system goes out on my central unit, and that's happened. This one is for my heat pump, and this one's for my air conditioning. And then the rest of these are right here are lights, receptacles. That GFCI goes into the bathrooms. And this one right here is for lights underneath the house. Those are incandescent bulbs. That's to keep the pipes from freezing. Whenever the temperature drops, I'll just cut that on, and that'll keep the pipes from freezing when it goes down, you know, in the 20s or so. So what I do when I first come in here, I cut every single breaker in the off position. All my 240s, all my 120s. Cut them in the off position. Then I cut my power off, and you see my switch right here, my lockout. So I got my power off that's feeding into the house. So I cannot push it up and cut it on because this is physically blocking it. That allows me to cut this breaker on, which is my generator that is wired into the panel. So once I cut that off, flip that lock over, and I can turn my power on from the generator. Then I go back and I slowly cut on my 120s each time. The reason why I do that is if you go to crank your vehicle and you have the gas pedal all the way down, and as soon as it cranks up and it's just at the highest RPM, you're doing damage to your motor. So the idea behind this is to slowly cut everything on, so that way you're not overwhelming the generator. You're slowly bringing everything online. But you still have to keep your 240s off, folks. The reason is, I learned this, I can't remember if it was one of the two, it was either Doc or Outdoor Prepper, but I think it was Doc's video where he was explaining your 240s. I have 110 coming down this leg, 110 coming down this leg, and what happens is these double breakers, like this part right here will be on this leg, but this one is hooked to the other leg. You just can't see it because of the way it's hooked up. But back to your 240s. Even though if you have it on and you're not using the whatever's hooked to your 220, that 220 is still running some kind of power, because some of your units, like your central air conditioning units, will still use a portion of 120 volts out of that, but because it's not 240, it can cause an electrical problem on your advanced circuit board. So, definitely watch his video. He probably explains it better than I do, but I just know to keep all my 240s off, not to turn those on at all. I cut everything off and then slowly bring on my 110s. So both legs are hot because of that power cord I got coming from the generator to my 240 receptacle, and it's all in the wiring that comes from the generator to the receptacle that is allowing me to run both legs with 110. But also, let me tell you what I was powering. Okay, so I had both TVs going, my internet going. I had a oil-filled heater, which is 1800 watts maximum when you got it on maximum. I also had a second heater going. It was 1500 watts when you have it on high. And then I have a toaster oven. Let me go to the toaster oven. All right, so here's my toaster oven right there. You see it's on right there. I have the setting on 350. Got it on continuous. It's on bake. And just to let you see, I'm sure you can see that eye is glowing. Trust me, folks, it's on. So I had all this going, plus all my lights inside the house. But I'm amazed, like I said, honestly, to run a toaster at 1500 watts, a oil-filled heater at 1800 watts, a secondary heater running at 1500 watts, plus all the lights in the house, my refrigerator, which is a side-by-side refrigerator with freezer, and I also have a stand-up freezer in my extra room. So it's powering those. So I even tested, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure it could handle the surge watts. When your refrigerators come online, they go back to here. When the refrigerators come online, they're going to surge until that compressor is up and running, and then the wattage will drop just to run. So folks, I mean, that thing can power my entire house except for any of my 240s. So if I had to, I could cut off the toaster and get one electrical eye that's electric, plug it in, and that would be a way to be able to cook and keep this small generator hooked. Now my plan is if I want to cook dinner, or I got to wash some clothes, I got to dry some clothes. Let's say we're without power for a week. I can still use the big generator to wash clothes, dry clothes, to run the central heat or air, to use my range. Now, if I do power management, I can use my oven and all my eyes on my range. And so I can use that for about an hour or two, however long I need it to wash clothes and dry them. Disconnect that one, hook up my small one, let this small one run the rest of the day and at night. And I can put it in eco mode to where it's only going to power what the demand is. I may have one heater that's in the bedroom or one air conditioning unit that's in the bedroom, and you know, that's my little vacuum robot right there, folks. It does a pretty good job. But anyway, enough about that. So that's my plan. My plan is to try to avoid my robot. My plan is to only run the big one for a couple hours a day, because it uses a lot of fuel. It's also a tri-fuel kit. But I like the idea of this small generator. It will run, from what I'm reading, at least 8 hours on a tank of propane, and that's at 100% load. So cutting the load on that small one, and I cut down to the necessity essentials that I needed, and I was below 50%. At times I was at 25% load. So that's going to be my long-term solution for power outage that lasts anywhere from 2 days or longer. I have been without power for a week. But I made this video long enough, folks. I just wanted to show you. But I'm impressed with the Power Smart 3,800 watt inverter. But my only complaint about it, I'm going to have to reach out to them and see. But the on switch, where you cut it on to put it on propane or gas, I'm not sure it's not defective, just because it's taken me 30 and 40 times pulling the cord to try and crank it and moving the switch back and forth, back and forth. It's like it's got to be seated just right. And I've just now started to notice that it has a loud click when it's in the correct position. But it's like it doesn't go to the correct position all the time. So I'm going to reach out to Power Smart, see what we can do about that. If I got to send it back into them or take it to a repairman that can maybe swap that on switch off, and I think that's where my problem is. But I can just tell you, it's too hard to crank. Shouldn't be that hard to crank. I have not put a drop of gasoline in it. I only want to use propane. So I've already went through the break-in period. In the break-in period where I changed the oil several times and only using propane, so I took out the spark plug and I moved the gap, because everything I was reading said that if you have your spark plug gap at 24 to 26 thousandths, that's ideal for propane. So I got it at 25. I got it in a sweet spot right in the middle. But when I pulled that spark plug out, it still looked brand spanking new after the break-in period. The break-in period has about 5 hours on it. Still looks brand new, like it was never used. But even after changing the spark plug gap, putting it in that sweet spot, it was still extremely hard to crank. But that's the only negative thing I can say about it. But once I get it going, I'm very pleased with it. I'm impressed. The power level is perfect for my house. The noise that it puts out is well within range. I have to stay under 70 decibels. And so it's perfect. But all right, folks, I hope all this helps.